Welcome, welcome, Esther. It's February, it's Valentine's Day, and your beautiful book comes out. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I know it is very, very exciting. It's been kind of a long-awaited thing, and it's finally going to be here. So thank you.
What is your actual launch date that be able to go on Amazon and get your book?
February 4th.
February 4th. That's
the day
like tomorrow.
I know,
Yes.
it's soon.
And the title is An Unnatural Beauty. Is there a subtitle to it also?
There is, and the subtitle really explains the title. It is Rediscovering the Beauty of Holiness.
Nice.
And that's not a natural beauty.
No, it's not. So I wanted to ask you, what brought you to the subject of holiness? Like, why holiness? Why do you want to talk about that in this book?
Well, there's really a couple of reasons. One of them is I was watching as gradually that word, as when it's associated with us, became a negative. It's associated with do not and thou shall nots and a list of do's and don'ts, and it's associated with just kind of a piety, and I wanted so much to share the fact that that's such a far cry from what it really is. It's really joy and freedom as God invites us to share his own nature. And then the other thing is, as I've shared some of these things at women's retreats and conferences, I've just seen a hunger in women for this. And so to be able to put it down in a book form that can reach more women than I will ever meet is just such a privilege.
That's awesome. Yes, I agree. I think that God puts that in us, that hunger for it. My next question is, who were your role models as you discovered holiness?
Well, my mother was the first one and my earliest one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my earliest memories are in my home. And while this is something that was taught, even more importantly, I saw it as something that was lived. My mother we obeyed her. We had that little bit of holy fear of her, but she lived a godly life, and she was a woman who was full of joy. And so I saw the beauty of it. I saw the fact that this was not an uptight, negative thing, but this joyous relationship that we had with God. And I watched it in her life. So that was my biggest. And obviously along the way, interestingly enough, I would say a lot of the other influences came through books, women I would never meet in person. And so that encourages me as a writer. Yes. Amy Carmichael, Elizabeth Elliot, and others, where I got to feel their heart for this through their writing.
It's funny that you mentioned Elizabeth Elliot. As soon as you said you had other writers that you would listen to, that's the lady that came to mind for me. So our last question is very serious. As you know, I'd like to ask a would you rather question. So would you rather be a superhero or a famous person in history?
Oh, wow. Definitely, if I had to pick between those two, a famous person in history, because at the time, most of them didn't know they were famous.
Ooh.
Most of them at the time that they were living were just living. In fact, I try to stress that with my women when we talk about Bible characters. I have to say, you have to remember, this woman didn't know she was a Bible character. She was just a woman living out her life. And that's probably true for most people in history. They didn't know that they would someday be famous.
Awesome.
I would choose of those two. I would choose that one.
That is a great answer. I love that. Well, Mrs. Esther Lovejoy, thank you for your book. We can't wait to read it all. I know everybody's going to love it. Go out and get it. You'll absolutely love her words. God has anointed this book for sure. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Thanks for this time together.